What's up, everybody? It's your boy Dave P from The Cream. As always, Cream is cash flow, real estate, and money. Today we are getting into the character traits of a good real estate investor versus the character traits of a not so good real estate investor. As always, make sure you subscribe for more content all about real estate investing. Like the video if you find some value, and don't be afraid to share the video with other aspiring real estate investors. Let's get right into it. So, good character traits of a real estate investor. A good real estate investor always looks for ways to continue to invest in the property over time. It's the opposite of a slumlord. A not so good real estate investor, they're gonna try to cut every single corner. They're not gonna put money into their investment. Next thing you know, the place is falling apart. They're not gonna be able to get as much in rent. And overall, they're just letting their long-term investment diminish over time. A good character trait of a real estate investor is going to be continue to invest in this asset over the long term. Next up, a good real estate investor, they're gonna see tenant and owner relationships as a partnership, right? A bad real estate investor, they're gonna look at the tenant and owner relationship as kind of an everything for themselves type of relationship. That's not the way you wanna go about this. As a good real estate investor, a good character trait of a real estate investor is going to treat their tenants with respect. They gotta look at their tenant as pretty much like a client, right? They gotta treat their tenant in such a way where the tenant is gonna wanna take care of the property. Remember, this is your long-term investment. This is what you want for longevity. Also, you want the tenant, to live in this property for a long time. Remember, every time that a tenant moves out, it's gonna cost you more money. You gotta turn the unit, you gotta paint it, maybe you gotta lay new carpet, whatever. You want them living there for as long as possible. And most importantly, you want them paying the rent. If it is, a zero-sum game, you versus them, and they don't like you and they don't like the way you manage, they're not gonna be that happy about paying their rent on time. They're always gonna find a reason to not pay their rent. So make sure you treat your owner-tenant relationships as a partnership. Next up, a good real estate investor can't bring themselves to walk by a piece of trash without picking it up. Think about that for a second. You ever find somebody who just, they're walking by their property, there's trash on the property, they just walk right past it. They say, oh, that's not my job, I'm the owner, I'm too good for this. It's that entitlement mentality. Let me tell you, a character trait of a good real estate investor, they can't walk by a piece of trash without picking it up. In fact, what we used to do, and I still do, I always carry like what I call the real estate investor survival kit, right? I got a pair of gloves, just a pair of old gardening gloves in there. I carry some, trash bags in there. I carry a hammer, I carry a drill with me at all times, because you never know when you're gonna need to maybe make a quick repair, but most importantly, pick up the trash. You see some trash, pick it up. People like to live in an environment that's clean, and as a real estate investor, you never want to be above any job. You don't want that entitlement mentality that says, oh, I'm too big for this position. Carry around a little real estate investor survival kit, carry some gloves with you, pick up the trash if you see it on your properties. Next up, a good real estate investor hires the best vendors. And that goes back to number one, like I was talking about. A bad character trait of a real estate investor is always trying to cut corners. Well, when it comes to the real estate business, you also want to treat your vendors and your contractors as a team, right? Don't try to cut corners. Don't try to be a cheapskate, because you get what you pay for at the end of the day. And if there's a repair that's needed and you send somebody out there, a vendor, and you're trying to be cheap to them, they're not going to do the best job. You're going to end up having to send somebody else out. Now the tenant is still not happy. It really is a downward spiral. Treat your vendors with respect. Don't be a cheapskate. Remember, they're a business as well. Business to business relationships. Make sure they fix it right, pay them well, fix it right the first time. The tenant's gonna be happy, the vendor's gonna be happy, and they're gonna wanna work with you for a long time. Next up, a good real estate investor, they know what neighboring properties are renting for at all times. This is important. You constantly, when you're building a portfolio, you always want to be looking at what other neighboring properties are renting for. And this way you want to make sure that you are remaining competitive with your rents. And what we like to do, going back to having a good relationship with our tenants, we like to actually give them a little deal. We want to give them a little discount on the rent. It's going to allow them to feel good, want to stay there for long term, and make sure you know what the other properties in the area are renting for. A bad property owner or a bad investor, they only check a rent comparables when something comes vacant. You need to know what things are renting for in the area at all times. Next up is a good real estate investor. A character trait of a good real estate investor knows all the neighboring owners and know them by their first name. These could be your best friends. When you own a rental property, you want to get to know the neighbors. They're going to tell you if anything, shady is going on in your property. Get to know them, give them your cell phone number. Character trait of a bad real estate investor, they just don't want to get to know anybody. They think they're too cool for school. They think they're above any position. Go on there, knock on the doors, give people your cell phone number, let them know. You could let them know that you're the owner. I like to just let them know that I'm the manager. It's the same type of relationship. Sometimes you don't want to let them know that you're the owner. Just let them know that you're the manager and let them know they can call you or text you anytime if they see anything going on suspicious at your property, but make friends with the neighbors. This is your boy Dave P. Hopefully you found some value in these tidbits, and we'll see you on the next video.